The online WebSocket client is a nice tool, but we want to write our own WebSocket logic in JavaScript. We need to use useState and useEffect, so let's import them from React. Let's create two states. The first one is for the socket, so socket and setSocket. Initialize with null. The second one will be socket state. Initialize with connecting, because when we open our website, we want to immediately start connecting to the WebSocket. There are three possible states for the socket: connecting, connected, and disconnected. Now let's add a useEffect hook, and we want this to be triggered on the component's initialization, so add the empty brackets. When the app initializes, I want to create a new socket, so I'll create a variable called newSocket and set it to a new WebSocket instance, passing in the WebSocket URL. You already know that you have to copy the WebSocket URL from your AWS API gateway. Now we can add an event listener for open. That means that the WebSocket connection between our JavaScript and the AWS API gateway has been established. And when the connection opens, we want to update the socket state to connected. Set socket state, connected. Additionally, let's save this new socket to our socket state. So set socket to new socket. Let's also add a listener for when the WebSocket connection closes. If that happens, then our socket state is no longer connected. Let's update it to disconnected. And finally, we need to handle the unmounting of this app component. In React, the cleanup logic goes inside the return function of the useEffect hook. I want to close the socket connection, but I want to close it only if a socket exists. We want to display our tic-tac-toe game only if we have a WebSocket connection, so only if the value of socket state is connected. We can't just randomly write JavaScript code here, so we get an error, but we can easily fix it by adding a React fragment. Now we can also display something else if the socket state is equal to disconnected. And it would be great if we displayed a button the user can click to reconnect to our WebSocket. It's probably not the best design decision, but let's display the message: "You are disconnected. Please click here to reconnect." And add an onClick handler. OnClick. We can call the reconnect function. And now, let's implement that function. For now, let's just copy the code from a useEffect. So new socket and two listeners. Let's display a different message when the socket is in the connecting state. And inside the H1 tag, we can display the message, connecting. I'll refresh the app a few times, and you'll notice the connecting message appear briefly before the connection is established. It will be interesting, just for testing purposes, to wrap our tic-tac-toe component in a new tag and add a button that will trigger a disconnect. Let's quickly implement the test disconnect function. It's extremely simple, just socket.close, but now we can easily test both the connect and disconnect functionality. The final step in this video is to pass the socket as a prop to the tic-tac-toe component.